Good morning, everybody. It is really wonderful to have you visit us and this office on a day which is just a wonderful celebration of international partnerships and the recognition that we are one world, one community, responsible for protecting the treasured objects of history in all of the countries of the world. Today, I'm glad to be joined by Mr. Mujdi Ramadan, the Consul General of Lebanon in New York, the acting special agent in charge, Eric Rosenblatt of Homeland Security, which is a phenomenal partner in all of our art investigations. From my office, Assistant District Attorney Matthew Bogdanos, who is a senior trial counsel here, is also a United States Marine Colonel and the head of our Antiquities Trafficking Unit. And Irina Bokova, the former Director General of UNESCO, or departing Director General of UNESCO. We are honored and we are excited to return 3 ancient statues to the Lebanese Republic, all of which were excavated from the Temple of Eshmun, which is a historic place of worship in southwestern Lebanon. Sometime between 1975 and 1990, these artifacts were plundered and stolen during the Civil War and then sold and traded by dealers. So let's talk for a minute about these objects. Stay where you are. I think I can do this. To my furthest right is a marble statue known as the Calf Bearer from the 6th century BCE and valued at approximately $4.5 million. The marble bull's head behind Ms. Bokova, dating back to 360 BC and valued at approximately $1.2 million, which followed the same path as the Calf Bearer, but the bull's head wound up in the Metropolitan Museum of Art, where at the time it was recovered, it had been on loan for display by a private collector. Finally, we have a carved stone torso, also marble, also from the Temple of Eshmun, dating back to the 4th century BCE. And altogether, these statues have a commercial value of more than $5 million. This recovery and return is part of the work of this office in recovering stolen and trafficked antiquities. Under Mr. Bogdanos' leadership and given his partnership, our partnership with HSI, we have returned objects as many as 2,000 from one art dealer, collectively valued at more than $150 million. Many of those items which we return, like those today, have now been returned to their rightful owners and repatriated to their countries of origin. Now, we talk about the value of these objects, but when you put a price tag on something like this, it's all too easy to forget that they are priceless. These aren't just valuable collector's items for show and display. These are actual, celebrated remnants of an entire civilization's culture and history. And through the formation of the office's Antiquities Trafficking Unit, we hope to help others, not only in New York, but around the country and around the world, understand that pillaging the world's heritage is not just a tragedy, but trading in stolen artifacts can also be a crime. Due diligence must be done by museums, auction houses, dealers, private collectors, and anyone interested in purchasing or selling antiquities. To do otherwise is to condone a destructive criminal practice of plundering from historic sites that degrades the integrity of those historic sites from around the world. Be assured that we also are committed to pursuing criminal cases against those who knowingly trade in looted antiquities. And I encourage everyone in the art community and beyond to help us identify and recover stolen artifacts by reporting items of a questionable origin to our office and to our partners at HSI and law enforcement. I have to say that our federal partners at Homeland Security have been a constant and committed partner, and I just am so appreciative of their leadership and their partnership in everything that we do. I'd like to invite the Consul General now to say a few words. Consul General?
Thank you. District Attorney, Honorable Cyrus Vance, Assistant District Attorney, Colonel Matthew Bogdanos, ladies and gentlemen, this is indeed a very special day for us. 3 archaeological artifacts will be repatriated. They belong to the Temple of Eshmun near the city of Sidon in southern Lebanon. This will mark the end of a long trail of theft and illicit trading that started back in 1981 when the two torsos and the bull's head were stolen from Byblos in Byblos Jbeil in Lebanon, along with actually hundreds of other pieces. Today's repatriation, and I want to make this clear, would not have been possible without the remarkable efforts of the district attorney and the members of his office, and the collaborative work of several U.S. authorities, including the U.S. Embassy in Beirut. Of course, that was at the request of the pertinent Lebanese authorities, namely the Ministry of Culture and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Immigrants. Ladies and gentlemen, what we are witnessing today is yet another proof that this country is a country of the rule of law. And I have only Honorable Vance to thank for that. On behalf of the Lebanese people and the government of Lebanon, I would like to extend and express my appreciation to the Honorable Vance and to members of his office for their commitment to ensure the rule of law, to eliminate the illicit trading of antiquities, and to repatriate the three pieces. This commitment cannot be clearer today with the announcement, I understand, that the DA will make about the formation of a new specialized unit to follow up and investigate the illicit trading of antiquities. Furthermore, the commitment of the U.S. towards Lebanon is as strong and as deep as ever. A couple of days ago, the commander of the U.S. Central Command in the Middle East was in Lebanon, and he announced an additional $120 million of assistance to the Lebanese armed forces. Again, I'm very thankful to you, sir, and to members of your office, and I'm certain that under your leadership, we're going to probably have more of these ceremonies. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Consul General, very much. And as the Consul General indicated, we have formally formed an Antiquities trafficking unit headed by Matt Bogdanos with a dedicated staff. It really continues the work this office has done in repatriating stolen art, actually for decades. But the volume and pace of our work in this area is increased to the point where we actually need a unit fully staffed with investigators, analysts, and lawyers to make sure that when we understand that trafficked, stolen, and looted items are in our jurisdiction, we can bring all the resources of this office to bear to make sure that they can be returned to their countries of origin, which we are so very proud to do. So now I'd like to invite Eric Rosenblatt to talk to us from Homeland Security and thank you and everyone in your agency for your partnership.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. It is a pleasure to join you here today. Thank you to our host for welcoming us to this special occasion. I would like to obviously acknowledge Manhattan DA Cyrus Vance Jr. and Consul General of Lebanon in New York, Mujdi Ramadan. On behalf of Homeland Security Investigations, it gives me great pleasure to be part of this ceremony to return these three ancient statutes to the people of Lebanon. HSI's mission is to conduct criminal investigations to protect national security and uphold public safety. One of the crimes under our jurisdiction, and which we take very seriously, is the theft and trafficking of another country's national treasures. HSI special agents assigned to our cultural property, art, and antiquities division are highly skilled and are truly devoted to these complex crimes, working tirelessly to track down the thieves and smugglers who are profiting off of a country's culture and history. They work closely with the experts to authenticate the objects, determine their true ownership, and help return them to the countries of origin or rightful ownership. The ravaging of cultural property and antiquities is one of the oldest forms of transnational organized crime, and is one that can be used to fund other illegal activities, including terrorism. The relative ease of doing business through the online marketplace, both overt and through the dark web, has helped this type of theft become a global phenomenon. Here in New York, HSI partners with the Manhattan DA to bring these perpetrators of crime to justice, and together, our reach is global. This partnership has proven to be successful in locating and returning artifacts that have been long missing from their home countries. These cases require patience and persistence, and moments like this are so meaningful for everybody involved. While we recognize that cultural property, art, and antiquities are often assigned a dollar value in the marketplace, the culture and symbolic worth of these Lebanese treasures far surpass any monetary value to the people of Lebanon. This investigation was opened during February when HSI New York received information from an antiquities organization concerning a Lebanese marble artifact of a bull's head housed at the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York City. Special agents sought information from the Met and the government of Lebanon in hopes of recovering the stolen items and returning it to its rightful owner. The investigation into the bull's head led to the location of the other two marble statues that were taken from the same excavation site in Lebanon. This ceremony is a fitting reminder that the rule of law protects a country's heritage from being bought and sold for personal gain. The people of Lebanon are the rightful owners of these artifacts, and it's our honor to help in the recovery and the return so future generations may study and admire these objects for the place they have in the history of Lebanon. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. And we are really pleased to have sort of a rock star in Antiquities join us today, Irina Bokova, the former or outgoing Director General of UNESCO, and I've asked her to say a few words about what brings us here today and the challenges of dealing with stolen artifacts.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vance, Consul General, and Mr. Bogdanos, and all the friends here. I'm so thrilled to be at this ceremony. I think we're turning the tide. The fact that more and more stolen property has been restituted is a good sign that heritage and identities matter for the people, and that it is not only unethical, it is not right to loot, to traffic stolen art, but it is also a crime, as you rightfully said, Mr. Vance. And I just go back 2 weeks ago when I was in Washington celebrating the World Heritage Convention with US ICOMOS. And once again, I was reminded that the World Heritage Convention is part and parcel of the legacy of the United States within the United Nations, because it was Russell Twain who was the guardian, the initiator of the World Heritage concept for humanity that brought about the creation, the adoption of the World Heritage Convention. And then, of course, it's all the work that the United States has been doing to restitute the looted property, antiquities, but also to establish a framework, international framework, so that this crime, I would say, in some cases when we have conflict and looting becomes part and parcel of the financing of terrorism, of extremism, like we see in Syria, in Iraq nowadays, also takes form of important international decisions. And I'm reminded about the work that the United States and UNESCO has been doing to adopt a Security Council resolution, 2199, in January 2015, that is particularly focused on financing of extremism. And for the first time, the Security Council approved texts inside paragraphs where it said, and it made the link between the looting of antiquities and peace and security. And then this year, we have another landmark resolution, 2347, adopted by unanimity of the Security Council, which states again that protecting of heritage and the stopping of the illicit trafficking of objects of art, it's part and parcel of the efforts to bring peace and security in conflict. And I think now, as I said, we are turning the tide. More and more such restitution cases are coming, and I would really like to congratulate you, Mr. Vance, the district attorney, all the cooperation, the Homeland Security Office also, for this effort, because it's a wonderful example for the others that looting is a crime and that it is so much important nowadays in this globalized world where we see different conflicts, that this is not just recognized as a crime. We don't do the lip service to what we are speaking, but we do it. We restitute it, we prosecute also, and we bring about the restitution of this property to their countries of origin. So it's a wonderful event. I congratulate you for this, and it's an example for the others, and I hope that others also will be following it. Lebanon, which is a country of Asian culture, of culture, layers of different cultures, which is a land of tolerance, a land of dialogue among cultures, I think is nowadays once again happy to receive these objects, beautiful objects, and I'm sure that they will take their place either in Sidon or in the National Museum, where I remember I launched Unite for Heritage campaign last year. So once again, congratulations. Thank you very much for what we are doing. I think humanity will appreciate your effort. Thank you.
Irina, thank you so much for your work, and we look forward to your continued partnership in your next venture once you have left UNESCO. But thank you for really changing the landscape internationally to protect sites like this from plundering. In the last several months, this really has been a remarkable experience for our office. We returned a Roman mosaic excavated from the ships of Nemi to the Italian authorities, an Etruscan relic stolen from the site of a historic necropolis known as the City of the Dead, a Buddhist sculpture stolen from an archaeological dig site, and a set of extremely valuable ancient Greek coins. So it's just remarkable for us and such a pleasure to be able to return these magnificent objects to their countries of origin. And when you look at the beauty of these statues, if in this time of giving in New York City, we are so proud to be able to give you a gift for the season of these valuable objects back home. So I'd like to open it up for on-topic questions. I'm going to invite Assistant DA Matt Bogdanos up. He's has been referred to as our Indiana Jones in the DA's office, and I'm sure he'll be able to field the questions, as will the other representatives. Thank you. Any questions?
Can you take us through the sort of chain of custody? Did I understand that at least one of these artifacts was either sitting at the MoMA or even on display?
I'm going to have Matt answer that, but I just wanted to clarify, there have been no criminal charges filed in connection with the repatriation of these artifacts. The matter is under investigation and ongoing, but to be clear, we are still very much actively looking at the conduct that led to their recovery.
Yes, sir. To answer your question, sure. To answer your question directly, the bull's head itself had been loaned to the Metropolitan Museum of Art. I want to point out that that investigation was begun by Karen Orenstein from the Eastern District of New York and Special Agent Labat from Homeland Security. And once it was determined that it was actually in New York County, jurisdiction vested in our office, and we began the investigation. And one of the greatest takeaways from the three pieces that are before you here is the level of cooperation that is required in order to prosecute these cases. They're extraordinarily labor-intensive. They span decades, and it requires investigators to recreate a path that each of these followed over the course of the last 30 years without the active cooperation of many witnesses, security guards, the director of the museum in Lebanon. Without their cooperation, this couldn't have happened. And that story is a story that we can tell again and again, whether it's Greece or Italy or Syria or Libya or Egypt or Cambodia or Thailand or India or Nepal or Pakistan. What we are finding is that there's a groundswell of cooperation from all over the world in order to come together to investigate internationally and return these priceless relics to the place where they belong. The second takeaway that you need to understand from these investigations, they are criminal investigations. And what we see time and time again, as it was made clear in court on public record, these pieces followed the same path that many pieces follow. They leave a war-torn area or an area that is undergoing civil war or civil strife. They get in the hands of dealers who are less than scrupulous in determining its origin, and then they make their way through auction houses and other dealers to New York.
But to be clear, you're not suggesting that MoMA is a bad actor?
It's the Metropolitan Museum of Art, not MoMA, and no one is suggesting that the Metropolitan Museum did anything improper and illegal in any of these cases.
Yes.
Well, no one has been arrested. Are there any prime suspects that your office is investigating?
None that we can discuss at this conference, but as Matt said and I said earlier, the matter is under investigation. Yes, sir.
Council Chairman, can you talk a little bit about, DA Vance mentioned the price tag of these objects.
about what this means to the people of Lebanon to have these items back.
Great, thank you, Al.
Please sit.
In terms of the valuation, we had to get an independent valuation from Christie's. So we have our own valuation. We were told that the big Kaufberger is worth 800 million. The heads bull, 2 million, and the small torso stands at 300,000. We were told that 2 days ago. What that means for us, it actually means a lot. We're very happy and very thankful. And again, as I said, these pieces were stolen along with 500 other pieces back in 1981. So with the kind of leadership and the cooperation that we're seeing from the Office of the District Attorney, I'm certain that there's going to be more of these ceremonies. And I hope it's not going to take long. And what's really wonderful about this repatriation, that the whole process took months, which is really unheard of, I understand, in these ceremonies. So we're very happy, and we expect more to happen in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Consul General. Other questions? Hi.
Is it possible, like you mentioned, terrorism and extremism, is it possible to figure out if any of this, as it's passed down and sold and resold, if it funds?
Well, I'll ask Eric to speak to the general ish question, and I don't believe that we have developed a link to terrorism for these items, but we are continuing to look at all the information regarding their plundering. Eric?
Okay, so generally speaking, of course, with any commodity or something of value, whether it's heritage or other monetary value, whose hands it passes through is up to discovered through the investigation. What their role is in the transnational organized crime, the illicit activity, that's subject to the ongoing investigation. So while there's nothing specific, I certainly can't comment on anything, and nor would I comment in any ongoing investigations. But generally speaking, you have to know who the bad actors are, and then you discover their affiliations, and then you can determine whether or not it's supporting terrorism or the financing of terrorism.
Thank you. Thank you so much, all of you, for being here. Please stay and ask questions of the experts and the Consul General. Thank you to Karen for your partnership. Karen, I've known Karen for many years, and it's great to see her here and also represent the partnership we have. State offices, federal prosecutors, we really take very seriously, but in a job that is often dealing with sad stories and tragedies, to have a day like today, which is all positive and so important, is a wonderful way for us to close this year out and the year's work of Matt, Homeland Security, and our federal partners. Thank you so much.